Good evening, class. My name is Julian Venegas, and for this week's discussion, I'll be talking to you about drugs. So, drugs, according to Gainsland, is any drug or compound that can cause physical or physiological response or change in an animal. This includes human beings. They can come in many forms. Stimulants, which are used to increase the activity in the nervous system. Depressants, which cause the opposite effect of this. Opiates decrease any pain sensations, and hallucinogens cause the input to the brain to be incorrectly integrated, causing visual or audio data to be mangled. Um, Drug violations focus on two specific forms, possession and sale. Each of these come with different variables depending on the context. For example, possession with intention to deliver. So, drug enforcement in science, due to the continuous changing compounds, spurts of growth in the forensic field have been noted throughout the years. Uh, this is because money is being utilized to develop new research up, or use more manpower in order to tackle the drug problem in the country. The instruments have remained the same. Scientists use pretty much the same tools they've used since the 1960s. The change in the research has been in the time and the amounts necessary to analyze the evidence. The scientific working group for the analysis of seized drugs is the group that developed a protocol to standardize the analysis of drugs. So this protocol comes in three categories. Category A is a very nitpicky category. It provides the molecular identification for the type of compound. Category B is not as like detailed. It narrows down the compound to within a class of drugs to see if it's a stimulant or a depressant. Category C is just a preliminary test for the presence of drugs. This was noted in this week's assignment where scientists used color to identify if there was any drugs present in a substance. So the guidelines recommend testing from two different categories of the ones previously mentioned. This is to avoid scientific bias, to detect different drugs within the compound, because one test might give hints of a specific one, but not of the other. So if there are multiples within the compound, this is why two categories will be utilized. Finally, this is to avoid possible contamination. Uh, Maybe the first specimen had some contamination and gave negative results, while if they test it again, it might bring back a positive result. Um, Both the type of drug as well as the weight that was confiscated will determine the severity of the charge. So, drugs in the legal system. So, penalties for drugs vary from state to state. Some states are more relaxed than others, such as California, to more severe. So, to some other states with more severe charges if the drug charge is given in the school zone or if underage children are being utilized for distribution of the drug. Uh, some jurisdictions demand to know how good a sample. This means to know how much of the confiscated material is actually a drug substance. Some others prosecute depending on the weight of the confiscated substance instead of like a specific percentage. In order to prosecute whatever the substance is, it must be scientifically proven to contain some sort of controlled substance. So for drug evidence, the packaging plays a big role. Depending on how it was packaged, proper chain of custody, and a probable cause are the factors that will cause the evidence to be admitted in court or not. For drug packaging, it is usually easy to do. The most common method is plastic bags, with the exception of freshly harvested or wet plant material, which must be packaged in a paper bag, which, as we've seen in the previous weeks, is to avoid the rotting or the development of moisture in order to preserve the evidence. Even though drug prosecution is being adapted to target dealers and minimize the impact of the casual user, this does not mean that drugs are being completely legalized. This is all for this week's discussion. Thank you.